A very present good morning to one and all present here. On behalf of the management, principal, Department of Science and Computer Application, I take immense pleasure in welcoming you all for this wonderful session. Before moving on to the session, I would like to give a glimpse about our college. Avicii College of Arts and Science is a co-educational institution affiliated to the University of Madras, managed by the AVM Rajeshwari Educational Trust. Our college offers various undergraduate programs like BCom General, BCom Accounting and Finance, BCom Bank Management, Corporate Secretaryship, BBA, BSc Visual Communication, BSc Computer Science, BCA. Our motto is making from nobody to somebody. Being the pioneers in the field of education, Avicii provides the best for its students. In Avicii College, one can experience multicultural campus, excellent infrastructure and facilities, congenial learning atmosphere, UGC qualified faculty with industry experience, active sports, NSS, RRC, and other extracurricular clubs. The novel program of Avicii College is the Avicii Mentorship Program, wherein the students get an opportunity to get trained by the stalwarts of the industry. Special training programs to enhance the spoken English skills of our students. State of the art studios and laboratories, well furnished gallery type classrooms, highly equipped library, regular field visit and industrial visits, and we are located very near to the Vadapalani bus terminus. You can stay connected with us through Facebook, facebook.com/Avicii College, or log on to our website www.avichicollege.edu.in. Learn from the pioneers, come and experience the legacy of being an Aviciian.
Okay, what is the current trend? Current trend is social media campaigns, email marketing, SMS, web ads. Look at this ndtv.com. You are just log into ndtv.com. This is called web banner or web spot. What is this web spot? This spot is sold by NDTV to the marketers. How the marketers and the website are coming together. There is a big technology happening. I'll try to explain. Let's say that you are first time log into ndtv.com. So moment you log into ndtv.com, the information about you is tracked anonymously because only the machine IP address, the whatever the service provider you are belonging to, based on which they create an anonymous profile, a faceless profile for you. IP 1.2.3.4.6.5, something, some number is given to you, and they start tracking. This person is interested in English sites, sports sites. He browses movie. He goes to IMDb for movie reviews. He visits English Premier League websites. It does a profile. It doesn't know your face. It doesn't know the person, but it knows about you. So this information is tracked on the Google Cloud. So when the marketers want to promote a particular product, they will approach the Google Cloud and say that I want to place my ad for people between 15 to 20 who are visiting the English websites in India, who are interested in political news, sports news. Then based on the algorithm, automatically the Google will identify where all the web spots are available and then take the particular ad and the content will be pushed into the ad. So it happens within fraction of second. So it also happens through bidding. So when the marketer wants to place an ad, the Google will sell the ad for some it will say like $1 now. If it demand is more, it will say $1.25. If they even more demand, it will say $1.5. So it is all kind of tender based, happening algorithmically at runtime. So Google makes money only through this, and NDTV gets share of that. So how they are offering this kind of services to us for free? It is only through our data getting passed to the Google Cloud, and that information is shared with marketers, and marketers identifies who are the right audience where I can place, If at all, for example, in a sports visiting website, if the person is not even visiting those sports website, I cannot really give ad about Adidas shoes. A Adidas shoe advertisement makes a lot of sense if I place them in a person's website who is visiting EnglishPremierLeague.com, for example. Okay, so that relevancy is identified. Unlike in our traditional marketing, we are distributing notices across the city. We are distributing notices from helicopter. We don't even know who is going to see it. We are in the olden days, we used to have some car track kind of roaming around the city, announcing this movie is the last day today. We do all those techniques, but in all those techniques, the problem is you don't know who is your audience. But here, I know the audience. Okay, we are all talking about a faceless person. But let's say that you are logged into Facebook in your website. Moment you logged into website, the Facebook has the details about your email. It knows your first name, second name, your date of birth, your relatives, your friends, what all pages you like, what all subjects you like, what all the leaders you like, what all the different ads you have liked. So it knows about you completely. Over a period of time, more than you, the Google and the Adobe Cloud knows you better than yourself. It can tell you what kind of person you are. What do you do between morning 7 and 9? What do you between 9 and 5? What do you do on the weekend? It can tell you that every weekend you go to Bangalore and then you are doing a swiping at a hotel. It understands that every weekend you are doing a resort stay. You are spending your time in resort, in golf club. Then it will push ads based on that. Then every day, Saturday morning, you will get a push notification on your mobile. Why don't you look for this offer? 30% discount in a resort. So it understands what is your behavior, what activities you do. It's all completely tracked. The data is exposed. So the moment you log into Facebook, all the activities in your desktop and mobile are connected together. The face is attached to your anonymous profile. You all understand, right? I want to make sure that you understand this. So when you are logged in anonymously without any identification, your information is captured through IP address. But if you log into any website with your name and password, that's it. You are connected. It understands, okay, this is the person using this machine, and all the information that you are doing in the website will be connected with the same person. That is called 360-degree profile. Not only from website, it understands the third-party interactions you do. Whatever payment you are doing, that is also tracked and shared. Let's say that you are purchasing in Flipkart. Then Flipkart, you are doing a 10,000 rupees transaction. Then that information is passed on to Google Cloud. Okay, this guy purchased 10,000 rupees worth of tablet. Then it starts showing accessories. Why don't you buy a cover for your tablet? It understands what mobile you are using. So OnePlus 5 you are using. It starts showing ads in your Facebook, OnePlus cover available. So basically the point is, the digital marketing understands each and every person who is interested in what, and based on that, I can position my product selling. That is where you are getting your Facebook ads push. In your website, you will see different ads, which is very, very relevant. You would have seen that, for example, if you have browsed for a particular 55-inch TV, you will start seeing TV ads in your website. Wherever you go, the corporates will kind of chase you with a TV ad until you purchase. Even if you visit Facebook, you go to Twitter, you go to website, a SMS will come. You will go to your email. On the email banner, you will see that TV ad is shown. So basically, the point is, the digital marketing campaign can be very effective. It can connect very emotionally with the consumer. Okay. With the data and the marketing technology combination, we can achieve wonders. And this is where the experience comes into play. If I send you a very attractive banner with offers, then only you will click. So that is called the effectiveness, or we call it as click rate. How many people are clicking, that is tracked. If I show this, for example, get Grammarly, it is free. If I ignore this, probably Google would have placed it in 1 million web visits. Only 10,000 people have hit it, then the effectiveness of this experience is very bad. But for example, if 500,000 people click this, then 50% effectiveness. It is fantastic. So that is where the experience comes into play. This is where I expect people to understand how to develop those experience, how to really become a designer. You don't need to have a lot of IT knowledge, programming knowledge. If you're having some good imagination, some good design skills, you have the artistic understanding, you can become a layout engineer. They earn more than our normal engineers. Okay, I'll come into those aspects slowly. So what is millennial mindset? Look at our current millennials. Pullingo is our trend word, right? You all know. So these are the millennials. They have their own mindset. They are into their own world, and the world is changing. It is not the same. So how do we really understand the emotions of these millennials? What do they do? So we have done some research as part of our ongoing analysis in Infosys. We work with multiple different research organizations like Forrester. We have done analysis. So here it is understand that people are always on and connected. The only thing we have not done is the mobile is not stitched to our brain. Otherwise, we are having the mobile 24 hours with us. That is always on and connected. What is connected? Earlier, the data used to be very expensive. So we will switch on mobile data, switch off mobile data when we are moving. But the mobile data is very cheap now. We are getting 2 GB per day, 1 GB per day. So we are not only always on the mobile, but we are also connected. Okay. Expand the experiences. I was talking about intuitive, personalized, engaging. Intuitive, I should be able to do myself. Personalized, it should attract me. What is relevant for me? Engaging, I should be created with some interest. Some interest should be triggered when I'm shown something. Otherwise, it is no use. This is where the experience plays very important role. However good your product, if your packaging is not good, you are not going to really get attracted. If your product, for example, shampoo is a fantastic shampoo, you are walking into a store. If the outer cover, the color and everything is not attractive and really gives you an emotional feeling, you won't even pick up the shampoo and look into it. So it is very, very important that you give better experience. Channel agnostic. We discussed about channel agnostic. What is it? Whether you are visiting a store or visiting through mobile or tablet or desktop or smart TV, it should give you the same feeling and experience. The price that you see in tablet, in store should be same. If the price in store is 5 rupees extra for a particular, even one small grocery, but in website it is lesser, then you will feel like there is something happening. I'm not, you will lose the trust with the company. So it has to have channel agnostic. Wherever you go, you need to have consistency. Okay. The most important part is the attention span. One is it is combination of experience and ability to show you very, very quickly. So when you click a particular app, if it takes 10 seconds, you won't even open the application. If you are navigating, if it is taking 1 second, 2 seconds, you will look into it, you will navigate. If you are thinking that the site is going to take more than 3 seconds, 4 seconds, you are going to close it. That's the millennial mindset. Basically, the attention span is kind of reducing. You want to do everything quick. It used to be 12 seconds in 2001. People used to wait. So when I was talking to one of our vice presidents, Jagdish Datta, he is a very, very pioneer in Infosys. When Infosys started, he was one of those employees who started with Infosys. He said a story. How did this complete the globalization started? When India launched a satellite in 1990s for some having some pride amongst the global world. India was spending a lot of money in launching satellite. They launched the satellite, but it was not fully utilized. There was a lot of bandwidth unutilized, and they didn't know what to do. But a lot of money was getting wasted. So somebody within the ministry suggested to the telecom minister, I think, I don't know the name, why don't we use that to rent it to somebody? Because of some security and others, he was little worried, should we even allow this to be used? But later he got convinced it's okay, probably it anyway lying idle. If somebody is able to make use of it, it is okay. We will rent the bandwidth of the satellite availability for IT organizations. So Infosys and these kind of organizations started using that bandwidth by paying some money. That is when this globalization actually kicked in. So whatever that you are able to you are able to do remotely is through all satellite, and all started with that one single thought process of one person convincing the minister to allow the bandwidth of the satellite be utilized. So he used to say that when they started, if they want to start a particular application which is remotely connected, they will click the button, you'll go along with the friends to coffee, and you will come back after 15-20 minutes and still it will be connecting. They had the patience, but they will do this application slowly, one by line, one by one, and then they will push the application, deploy in the servers of yours and run the application. But right now, I think we are even having like 16 GB RAM, 32 GB RAM in our desktops, and even mobiles are coming with 16 GB RAM. So the kind of the efficiency in terms of remote connectivity has improved very vastly over the period of time. The technology has kind of blasted. So the attention span to have that kind of patience is no longer there, which means whatever we are delivering, it has to be extraordinarily performing, fantastic performance to attract consumer, to stay relevant, to make them stay into the application. Otherwise, the millennials are going to ignore. The millennials, who are born after 2000, they have not seen any bit of the difficulty of the pre-world. They are born digitally. They know the gadgets from their very young age. So this audience, we need to be very careful. So look at this study that we have done. So age below 10 also using mobiles and tablets of their parents. They know how to operate YouTube. They know how to even order Flipkart. The only thing they ask the parents is, father, dad, you just give me the password to close the purchase. That is the only, otherwise they are able to intuitively go into the adding to the basket, selecting all the choices and completing. So also you can look at, people are doing a lot of online video games aged between 10 and 12. No longer we are doing Xbox and others. A lot of Android games, Apple games are available. And even they are watching a lot of web series on Prime and Hotstar. They are very glued to those series. They are able to really understand those series better than their parents themselves. And their interest, passion has completely changed between the age group of previous era versus the current age group. Okay. So you can see that progressively the millennials are using more digital, less of books, lot of online games, lot of e-commerce transactions happening digitally. They visit social media sites. The famous social media are Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr. All of this, we don't even know what is Tumblr, our age group, but kids are knowing all those social media websites. So we need to make sure that what is their passion, interest to the next generation, and adjust our experiences accordingly. So I wanted to present this story. So I think we all might have gone through this. Bit of it I explained before also.
Okay.
Let's say that John is browsing internet. John is working in Infosys. He's recently joined Infosys as a trainee in Mysore. Okay. He visits Facebook, and in Facebook he sees an ad about a 55-inch TV. How did Facebook identify to show a 55-inch TV? Because he is interested in watching a lot of web series. He is already shown interest in browsing some of those 55-inch TVs, 65-inch TVs, smart TVs. So Facebook profiles the information, and when there is a need to market a particular TV, it places the ad. It also understands he is already spending 3 to 4 hours in Facebook. So most likely he will see the ad for sure. So it places the ad, and then he clicks that ad. What it does, it takes you to Flipkart. In the Flipkart, when John is visiting the Flipkart, it knows that this guy is already interested in TV. He had clicked my ad also. How do I make sure that this guy purchases? So it also knows that this guy has got a salary, because the ad is placed on the first, because based on the salary credit pattern, the data is already available. Every first, the Infosys employees are getting salary. Particularly John might have got the credit, and the credit notification also would have gone to the data. So what does Facebook know now? Facebook knows John is interested in doing smart TV, purchasing a smart TV. He is interested in watching series, watching movies. He has already got a salary. Then it places the ad, and then he clicks the ad. What happens? Now it takes you to Flipkart. Flipkart has to make sure the transaction is completed. It should not kind of waste a person coming into the redirected into their website. It is like a walk-in customer. If you are walking to a store, the intention of the store person is making sure the person makes the sale. Okay, he will try to convince you with multiple different things. He will negotiate you. He will say, this is looks fantastic on you, sir. This shirt is the nice shirt, the best shirt available. Everything he will tell you to make sure that you are purchasing. Okay, same thing Flipkart does, but it does programmatically. It knows that John earlier rejected an offer of 10%. He visited Flipkart previous from a different website redirected. He showed 10% offer, but John didn't really purchase. Now what Flipkart does is it shows additional 10% discount. Not only that, it says there is additional 5,000 rupees of discount for your old TV exchange. John is now really kind of glued into it. He thinks I don't think he will get better offer than this. He immediately clicks the purchase. Then TV shows the original price value, 5,000 reduced for his old TV, 20% discount. He thinks very attractive price and purchases the TV. Then once he purchases the TV, Flipkart asks him to rate. John is very happy. The TV is fantastic. He's able to watch his favorite movies in the big TV. He is able to watch live football matches. He gives 5-star rating to Flipkart. And then he shares that in the Facebook. I bought a new TV. Look at me, how I'm doing. Then somebody likes that. If somebody likes that, then that person is again pushed with a notification. Then that person also purchases. That's how the cycle of the digital marketing happening, with somebody starting to show interest about a product, information captured in our Google Cloud, in the different cloud information. The marketers use the data to push the advertisement. So I already explained, right? How do I profile a person? When you are visiting the websites without your name logged in to any website, it knows by your IP address. It captures all the websites, whatever websites you visit, whatever articles you read, whatever different likes you are doing in Facebook, everything is captured. I know more about you now, but the only thing I don't know is your face. Who is the actual person? But moment you are logged into Facebook or any authenticated site, it just matches your profile name with the already captured information. So whatever information it is already captured with the name, it is fully complete now. And once it is complete, all the payment transactions, whatever the third-party sites that you are visiting, everything is included. So it knows end to end about the person, and that information is used for marketing. Okay. So this is a story. Basically, this is one example. There are multiple examples. You may be walking into a bank. You may have a camera scanner. By iris scanner, it may understand the person walking in is Angela. Angela is a credit card holder. And then it suddenly shows on the screen large signage. There is a new credit card upgrade available for you without any annual charges. It gives you 10,000 points and then one travel to Singapore. She will immediately visit the kiosk and upgrade the credit card, right? But what it does, it just has the data available. By iris scanner, it understands it is Angela. Angela is using a credit card and displays the ad on the large screen in front of the bank. So those are the possibilities with digital marketing. It makes more relevance. When you are swiping in your, let's say that in your ATM, you are withdrawing 10,000 rupees. Automatically, there will be an SMS pushed into you. Why don't you look for 10% offer in the restaurant? Because it understands you have money. And it is pushing an offer for your restaurant. It is in the evening 7 o'clock. Most likely, you may want to go for a restaurant to have a dinner. So look at the possibilities, Internet of Things, our digital marketing can bring in with the data and digital with always on connected behavior. I also wanted to very briefly touch upon the potential possibilities. Like I said, design thinking or experience design is what the most attractive job available in the market currently. Lot many are not having this skill set. It doesn't need any programming language. All you need is some imagination, some passion, and some artistic skills. And the tool knowledge can be acquired with the very basic training, and after that it is all experience. So if I look at Infosys, right, we have agency called Wong Doody, which we acquired last year. They are based out of US. All the design people, their work style is different. They are having like 50-inch Apple monitor. They have Mac laptops. When they walk into any meetings, we engineers, we walk in with our old laptop, HP laptops and Dell laptops. But these guys flash a fantastic Mac, large screen MacBooks, and the way they interact with Apple watches and all that. But they are not engineers. They are only artistic designers. So doesn't mean that you need to be an engineer to excel in the field of digital marketing or digital experience. All you need is passion and interest. So this is a fantastic area where you can explore. But if you are interested in programming, artificial intelligence and machine learning, AI and ML are picking traction. There are languages like Python or coding are available, where you can learn with a few training sessions. With interest, you can go ahead. And on the digital marketing, there are a lot of content authors available. Once the layout is available, you need to really do the authoring, publishing the websites, creating layouts. Also, you are going to monitor the campaign operations, create marketing campaigns, working with business. So these are potential business areas where you can be part of the organization with the digital marketing team, creating different campaigns like advertisements, and you can get a fantastic career. All of these are very lucrative. Lucrative meaning very highly paid, and they have high demand also. And now with the COVID situation, they are not traveling. Otherwise, all these agency based workers are those designers, right? They are always traveling from one place to another place. They go to Europe to US, US to India. It's a very, very attractive job, and it just needs some passion and interest, like I said. And we recently acquired one more company called Brilliant Basics. They are also agency design, and the people who we are interacting are brilliant people with fantastic minds. And we also started building our own user experience in Chennai, Mysore, and Bangalore. People we are acquiring also paid highly when they are coming into ours. We are now 300 people designers. We are expanding. And what the kind of work they do, right? Particularly the digital designers. So they create sketches like a pencil art they will do. It is not like pencil art drawn on paper, but in the tool itself on desktop, they create the layouts, okay, with artistic design. Then this is all discussed, brainstormed, then they bring better experience, and this is all finalized. Okay, this is the real life Movement Mortgage sketch file. It is an email design shared from the designer from the Movement Mortgage. See, after long discussion and basically multiple iterations, I would say back and forth, this design was finalized. Even though it looks simple, this need to attract. Look at the caption we have given, fast forward. Look at the image. It need to intuit kind of interest in the minds of the people. When you open an email, you will not spend more than 2 seconds. Even to open an email, the subject should be attractive. Let's say the subject is there is a real estate opportunity, you won't even open. 50% offer to own your home in 5 days. People may be, what is this? They may get interest and they'll click the email. The moment they click the email, I cannot let you go. The image should be attractive. The caption should be attractive. The offer should be attractive. So you click and contact the agent. So we had brainstormed multiple different, how it can be simple, how it can be attractive, and then we finally arrived at this design, which we are using it in our email design that we are going to blast July 31st. We are starting the email marketing platform for Movement Mortgage. We'll be sending out this email to millions of people who will be clicking in. They will become leads and they will be going through loan process. And moment we increase the sales, Infosys will be partnering with Movement Mortgage in more engagements. But all this is starting with a simple design. The design plays very important role. Another example here is, instead of save time, SAVE, look at shave some time. So how do we quickly process? Look at these different steps here. If for opening a loan, if there are 12 different steps, will you be interested to do this? Rather, I'm saying you save your time, just call me within 1 day, I'm able to give you a loan. So this will interest in people and they will call. So these are the kind of opportunities that you can do, where you can show your artistic skills, your imaginative skills, to bring better attractive advertisements created. You don't need to be an engineer, again I'm saying. All you need is some good aptitude and attitude towards the imagination and interest in this field. That's all. It's a very, very lucrative field, highly paid job. There are also multiple different opportunities in the digital world. You can be a UI developer, you can design your website, you can build your website. You can, there are multiple languages like React.js, Angular.js, you can develop components, and there are multiple testing opportunities available. You can create automation testing, you can validate the website. There are even opportunities available where you can subscribe to testing through cloud, and you will be given a website to test. You can test and post the bugs. Based on the bugs posted, you will earn money. So there are a lot of opportunities that you can do digitally. The only thing is you need to first gain interest, become aware, read about it, and go through different articles published by Forrester, browse in internet about what is the current opportunities offered digitally, read through this, understand what is required, then kind of improve your skills over a period of time. I think the world is full of opportunities and it is only for you to grab it.
One person has asked about the security of the personal data and generally the security in digital marketing.
Fantastic. So basically the data security is about what you are allowing the organizations to use. So right now in India, we don't have that kind of a sophisticated data security, but Europe has already bought a process called GDPR. So the consumer has to allow what information they can use, what information they cannot use. So when you are installing an application, for example, you are allowing the application to use all your information, first name, last name, second name, you are giving approval. So you need to first go through what you are approving when you are installing a free app. When you are signing up for something, check what information you are allowing. When you are visiting a website, you are accepting cookies. So automatically you are allowing the information is captured. So the Google, the complete the business model of Google is based on data. So if you don't allow your data to go, Google cannot do. Google cannot give those services. While it is very difficult for you to not to share data, but you can kind of at least be careful when you are installing applications, when you are going into websites, when you are subscribing to services, you should be careful. For example, in your Facebook, you may be having some applications. Create an avatar for yourself. Now it is kind of trending in Facebook, right? When you are allowing to create an avatar and publish, you already have given consent to use your first name, last name, date of birth, your job, your contacts data, your every information you are giving authentication that is used by corporates to advertise. So if you are trying to do any free service like that, be careful, because your data is being allowed to operate. That is the first level of security from a consumer. From a organization level, how the data is protected is, we are having multiple different levels of security. It is also a very good opportunity. So it is called cloud security, on-prem security. Cloud security is for the application set up on cloud. We are having multiple different levels. First level is the firewall. What request I can allow, what request I cannot allow. When the information is passed from one place to another place, from your Flipkart to Visa gateway, the complete information is 128-bit encrypted. So you need to make sure that it is always HTTPS and there is a encryption available. So these are the different measures we are doing from a data encryption, data protection, and we call PII, personally identifiable information. That information we cannot use without the consent of the individual. So we need to make sure that we are giving consent where it is required. First name, last name, even though it is personally identifiable, it is not a very critical data, but your credit card, your bank account, these are data that you need to be extremely careful when you are transacting in something, make sure the site is authenticated. You are not invited to phishing sites. Like you may be shown like a Flipkart like page, but it is not actually a Flipkart. So moment you type something, the password will be captured, your credit card, CVV, everything will be captured. So two things. One is the individual need to be careful in data. Second, organizations are doing their bit to ensure that the data is encrypted while it is transferred. The environment is protected with the firewall and multiple different security layers so that the data is not lifted by those hackers. Okay. So if you are interested, there are a lot of security courses, cyber security courses that you should be able to subscribe to. And cyber security is a very demanding currently. In fact, I am working on a program for a mortgage, movement mortgage in US company. We are setting up on Microsoft Azure Cloud. So we are having only 3 people having the right knowledge in our program, and they are in high demand. Complete cyber security is in high demand. We are not getting right set of skill sets.
There is one more question, like what are the demerits and challenges in digital marketing?
The challenges, the only challenge is the initial investment is high because the technology platform is complex. I'm talking from the corporate perspective. Me as an organization, if I need to set up a digital marketing platform for myself, the initial investment is high because you need to set up your data platform. All the consumers' information I need to bring in. I need to integrate with multiple different systems to integrate the data. The technology platform for your email communication, SMS communication, application notification, all digital mailers, to invest with the people to do all those designs, technology teams. That is going to take a lot of effort and time and money. But the advantage is I know my audience. So for example, if I want to promote an iPhone, so I can just target people who are 25 to 35, most likely purchasers of iPhone, and people in Chennai living in this particular area who are already using expensive phones like probably OnePlus 5, iPhone 5. So I know who are the iPhone users who potentially can buy, and only to those people I will send the advertisement, and my return will be very high. So I target 10 people, 8 people will buy. So I don't have to send to 1,000 people and still only 1 people will buy. So I can make it very efficient after my initial investment. But over a period of time, I can really bring the digital marketing very, very effectively. And on the other aspect, it is very cheaper also as a service. For example, if you go to Facebook, you are telling that I want to place my ad, and Facebook will ask, who is your targeted audience? Where you want to put your ad? So what it will do is algorithmically, if you are saying that 1,000 placement of your ads in Facebook, it will identify 1,000 people's profiles through algorithmically, through program, and then they will place the ads. Moment it is placed in 1,000 people's walls, if you once you like it, then you know that, like let's take an example, Ajay liked a Facebook ad of Flipkart. Ajay's friend of the same age group, living in the same city, working in the same office, likely to get interest in the same page. So the Facebook will show the same ad into Ajay's friend wall because it makes more relevant, because Ajay's age group, Ajay's same office, the same ad is shown, and Ajay's friend also will like. Moment Ajay's friend likes, again Ajay's friend's friend it will go. So what Facebook does is, it just starts with 10 people, then it creates acquaintances, meaning who all potentially will like this page based on the social circle of the first person liked it. That's how you can increase the relevancy. If it is a physical marketing, it is very difficult to reach the interested people. So that is the advantage of digital marketing, and it is very effective also. But the cost is high. Even Facebook is charging more for 1,000 or I don't know 10,000 wall placings. Similarly, there is called PPC, pay per click. The Google charges you for every click. When you are doing search, it gives you ad at the search of the results, right? On the top 3-4 ads will be shown. So if you click, then Google will get some money. So you can do the PPC ad also, which is very effective for small scale. If you are starting a small gaming application, and if somebody is searching for gaming, if your ad is placed and you are getting the redirection, it is very cheap compared to a traditional marketing. but there are merits and demerits. I would say that with the efficiency and the technology, digital marketing will only become more advantageous, both for consumers as well as for corporates.
Regarding ML and AI, one person is, he has his opinion like, how can the producers manipulate the consumer behavior? This is his questions. The purpose of anything should be to just give the awareness of the product, not to manipulate the consumers. And
no, the manipulation is not the right word, but rather I'm making you to buy. That is part of our life. Are we not doing this in every aspect of life? We are selling all the time. We are selling. Either we are selling our idea or we are selling our conversation. Selling is part of life. So we only, if you are not interested in that product, you are not going to buy. The only thing we are doing is we are giving the right information. We are really making you to close the transaction. You are already having the thought process to purchase, but we are just making sure the process is closed quickly. You may be thinking about multiple different product options, but we are just making sure that you are able to make a right choice by pushing the offer and to giving you a little more options of reducing your price, so you are able to make the transaction quickly. Manipulating may be not the right word, but in a sense, we are playing to the minds of the consumer based on his interest. That is the right word. But that happens in all the corporates. The consumers need to be, that is where the consumers also need to be aware. If you are really needing the product, if it is making sense for you to purchase, the opportunities are there to explore, choose the right product. But this will happen invariably in every aspect of life.
Yeah.
So we are
So in support of Sir Ramalingam sir reply, so I think in the sales area, there is a concept called caveat emptor. It means let the buyer beware of. So the duty of every seller is to push through the commodity, whatever you produce, the hands of the customer. But it is the customer who has to first check whether the product is right for me. Can I better utilize it? For every pie I spend, will it give me utility? That is the responsibility of the buyer. He cannot say that somebody is manipulating him. That means you should have a right choice to decide. Okay.
Yeah. Manipulating may be slightly a hard word in the context of what marketers are trying to do, but it is also true that marketers' responsibility to make sure their product makes interest in the minds of consumers. Otherwise, there is no sales. If I don't sell my product, then the company is not going to exist. Yes. So it is very important. Marketing plays a very important role, and they will spend more money in marketing. That is where I'm saying to the audience of this session, grab the opportunity in that particular field. Marketing will be, let's say that the company is spending 100 rupees, like I said, they will spend 50 rupees in marketing. In fact, they spend even more than 100% in the initial days as an investment. Before they make break even, they spend more money in marketing only to create the brand, make their brand attractive. Once the brand awareness is there, they can reduce the spend, which means the money is there on the table. It is for us to grab it.
Sir, what kind of legal remedy is available to any of the cyber security that's called victims?
The cyber security law is still not very strong in India.
Okay.
I think there are still ways and means to report the complaint with all the evidence, whatever we have. After that, the cyber security team can help. In fact, my friend, one of my classmates is working in cyber security as an inspector in Chennai. They are having access to all the data. So better than the tools and techniques are much better. Earlier, they had very little options in terms of understanding what went wrong in the cyber security area. But with the invention of these tools and techniques with CCTV, they are able to do much better job. So it is a responsibility for us to first raise a complaint. I think now the cyber security complaint can be raised online itself. And this, our team, the police team, is taking those complaints very seriously. They are responding. But we need to support them with all different information so they are able to take right actions. Still, the laws are not strong, but the infrastructure from cyber security investigations are really improving, and our police force is also getting trained well. They are getting all the tools access, and it is really becoming better, I would say. So those are the remedies. The one remedy that we have is like you said, the consumer need to be aware what we are subscribing to, where we are giving data, because always you are going to be approached for manipulating or threatening you with the data theft. So we need to be careful. Like you will be redirected to a mall site, malfunctioning site where they capture the data. They may call you to grab your data, like posing like a real bank officer. So we need to be careful. But in spite of that, it is happening. The only remedy is we need to raise a complaint with our cyber security team. But the problem there is, if you have already given the data to somebody, they may not be able to recover it. They can only protect you from future incidents. But that is where we need to be careful. When somebody is calling you asking for personally identifiable information like credit card, we should not give at all, whatever it is. Because no bank personnel, no one will ask for it. Even when you are entering your details in a website, we need to make sure the site is authentic. So those precautions we need to take care, and also if there is any problem, cyber security can be approached. That's the only remedy at the moment. Thank you again, everyone. Thank you for your participation. Thanks for your time, making it a very interactive and a fantastic session. Looking forward to more such interaction. Thank you all. Bye.